Hello everyone, welcome to my fashion point of view and to the sewing part of this tutorial. Okay, so before we begin, if you haven't seen the drafting part of this video, I'm just going to drop the link to that video in the description box. Okay, let's get to it. So this is the fabric we're going to use. As you can see, it's a sheer fabric and it's also lightweight, transparent as well, and it stretches. But if you want to do your practical, you can use something that is not so stretchy as this is. Okay, so let's just cut this so I can explain in details how you're going to go about it. Okay, let's start with the center front and the center back. So one thing about doing your extension on a pieces dress like this, you would want the hem to be equal. Despite your pattern paper, the size of the hem of your pattern paper. So how do you go about this? What I do is I take measurement of what I have on my pattern paper and what I want my flare to be, and this also depends on the amount of fabric you're working with. So what this means is if I'm coming out by 10 inches for my center front, I'm doing the same for my center back. So this evens it out. So you don't have one part of the flare bigger than the other. So now for the center front, we're cutting it on fold. You can see the center front is cut on fold. Then for the center back, you cut two because you are going to be fixing a zipper behind the dress. So now for my center front, for the waist area, before I do my extension, I usually come down by 1 inch on the waist. Why do I do this? I do this because you cannot start your extension on the waist point, directly on the waist point. So when it comes to shaping this dress, you find it a little bit difficult. So to make this easy, you come down by 1 inch on the waistline, then you do your extension. So for the center front, coming down by 1 inch on the waistline, I do my extension to whatever I take on the hem, and it's 1/2 inch allowance all through from the neckline to where my extension starts. I hope you understand, and you can see it also from the video. So now for the center back is 1/2 inch. There is no extension for the center back. As you can see, it's just 1/2 inch from beginning, from the top to the bottom. You are not extending anything because this is a 6 pieces dress. And for the shoulder and the neckline, 1/2 inch as well. 1/2 inch also for this part that will be connecting to the side back. 1 inch, you come down by 1 inch from that waist mark. Come down by 1 inch, then you do your extension down. Okay, so I hope you understand to this point. Okay, let me explain again with the tape measure. So you come down by 1 inch on the waist, still maintaining 1/2 inch on the side before you do your extension to the hem. Okay, now for the side front and the side back, I did 6 inches for my extension. 6 inches away from the pattern paper. So I did 6 inches because if you notice, the hem of my pattern paper for my center front and my center back is smaller than what I have for my side front and my side back. So I did 6 inches for the side front and the side back. This is just to make it even. Now the bottom line of everything I've explained is just make sure your hem is the same thing for the two pieces. Just make sure it is the same thing on the hem. Now for your side seam, for your side front and side back, you do 1 inch then before you do your extension, but you have to come down by 1 inch on the waist, then you do that extension, half inch on your armhole, then half inch for your bust area. Then remember to also come down by 1 inch on the waist as well, and you do your extension. Okay, so for the hem of this dress, I am not folding the hem of the dress. I just came down by 1 inch because I wanted the gown to be 1 inch longer. Okay, so for my sleeve, I'm just going with a basic long sleeve, and I cut my sleeve length on the selvage. I don't want to fold the hem of the sleeve as well. So I did half inch for the side of the sleeve and also half inch for the sleeve head because this fabric is super stretchy. So kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you for your support. Okay, so first things first, I have joined my side front to my center front on a half inch allowance. So since this dress does not have a lining, you can finish off the neckline using a bias tape. But I don't want to use a bias tape. I want to use facings for the front and the back neckline using the same fabric. So I've gone ahead to join the back pieces as well, but leaving the center back for the zipper. So let's go ahead and cut our facings for both the back and the front neckline. Okay, so let's cut the facing for the neckline. I'm using a facing because I want the neckline to look seamless. When I cut my facing and after sewing, I'm going to still trim. My facing is going to be really tiny, about 1 inch. I can still trim it further. Then I'm going to use a hemming gum to secure it down to the fabric, and I'm still using the same fabric to cut the facing. So to cut the facing, place a piece of your fabric on fold like you've seen me do. Then you fold your center front too, and you place them like so. So you can measure your 1 inch or 1.5 inch around like so, and you take note of that. So I flipped this over so the piece of fabric is on my actual fabric. So I'm going to take note of my 1 inch or 1.5 all around, then I cut out. Remember, I've also cut out the shoulder as well. So we're going to place the facing on the neckline like so. And we sew around it and flip it to the wrong side. Okay, let's cut the facing for the back. Remember, the back is in two pieces, so our facing is also going to be two as well. So I flipped it over and we're going to take our 1.5 now. We can cut that out. Okay, so we're going to flip that as well and sew it on 1/2 inch. Okay, so I've sewn the neckline for the front and I've pressed it down. You can see how seamless it looks, and I've gone ahead to do that for the back as well. So if you're not using your bias tape and you're going with this method, you don't need to press down your hemming gum until you have fixed your zipper for the back. Okay, so before I fix my zipper, I would like to show you this hack I use for stretchy fabric or sheer fabric on the zipper area to avoid excess wave or zipper bulge. So this is just cutting a piece of fabric that is lightweight, of course, and you make sure it is the color of your fabric. So for tutorial purpose, I had to use this so it's really visible. So you cut this down on the allowance you use for your zipper area. So when you do this, you press it down on your fabric using a hemming gum. So what this does is that it maintains stability around that area so your zipper doesn't bulge or have a lot of waves on the zipper area. So this gives it firmness. Remember that this fabric is transparent and we don't have a lining. So this just gives it, a little bit of firmness, like I said. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So I used a suit lining and it's super light, so I had to do, cut that on fold and pressed a fusible interfacing on it because the suit lining on its own is also very lightweight. So if your actual fabric is a lot thicker, you can just go with just one piece instead of doing it on fold. So I just did this because my fabric is so light, and the fabric I'm using for the center back as well is super light. So I had to go with this option. So you can secure this down with a hemming gum. Then you go ahead to join your back piece together and then you fix your zipper. Okay, so I fixed my zipper. You can see it laying flat. So I'll go ahead and flip my zipper, sew it down, and use my hemming gum to secure my facing. So to flip your zipper with your facing, you turn the zipper to the wrong side and then you sew down and turn it inside like you see me doing now. So this comes out really neat. Then when you're done with that, then you can press down your facing with a hemming gum. If your facing is longer than you want, you can reduce the size of it, the length. Okay, so I flipped my zipper and pressed my hemming gum on the facing. So you can see the front as well. It's very neat. So this is how I like the neckline to be. So like I said, you can go ahead and use your bias tape. Works fine for you. So now it's time for us to join the shoulders and sew our sleeve around the armhole as well. So I'm going ahead to sew my sleeve around the armhole without joining the sides. So you can see what it looks like. I just fixed it around the armhole. So it's time for us to flip this to the wrong side and do our shaping. So remember that on the side seam we added 1 inch for shaping of this dress. Because of the nature of this fabric, it's not advisable for you to sew down on 1 inch on the side. So I'm going to sew down taking my horizontal body measurements for this. So this will help me to get an accurate fit because the fabric is super stretchy. But for my sleeve, I'm just going to sew down on the allowance I added for it. But when I get to the body of the dress, I'll take my horizontal measurement that's divided by 2 and do my shaping. Okay guys, we're done with this dress and this is what it looks like. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned a thing or two. If you found any part of this tutorial helpful, kindly give us a thumbs up by liking this video and hit the subscribe button for more. Until our next tutorial, bye for now.